Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Will It Run series on my 1951 Gravely Model L garden tractor. As you may recall from the first two episodes, what I'm trying to do here is get this $20 machine to run. And there are a lot of things that we've done so far. There's some things I need to do yet. On the first two episodes, you probably remember, I put some different wheels on this machine so we could roll it around. I fixed the spark issue by cleaning and resetting the points in the magneto, checking the timing. In episode 2, we fixed the lubrication issue by installing a new oil filter mount and an old filter. We ran some new oil lines, primed the pump, and confirmed that works just fine. And I got a little anxious last time and shot some carb cleaner in the carb, gave it a pull, and the machine did pop off on carb cleaner. So the last thing that I need to do, that I think I need to do anyway, unless something else comes up, I need to address the fuel issue. So I'm going to have to remove the fuel tank. I've got a spare tank I'm going to put on there because this tank is full of rust. And I'm going to remove the carburetor. We're going to pull the carb apart, see what that looks like on the inside. So let's go ahead and get to work. First thing I need to do is get this fuel tank off and put a different one on. And one of the fun things about these Model Ls, if you've never dug into one, you can kind of tell that a lot of them were just cobbled together over the years to keep them in service. And here's a good example of some of the things you see. The gas tank is supposed to be held on with a hex head bolt and a lock nut on the end. And this has got a, I don't know what kind of fastener you call this, but the head on it looks like a wood screw almost, with a pair of lock nuts on it. I sprayed some PB Blaster. I'm hoping that comes off without me having to cut it. Of course, these originally did not have a rubber fuel line. It was a steel bent line. And they also had a sediment bowl, not this broken fuel shutoff. So I'll have to address all of that. Let's go ahead and see if that gas tank's going to come off okay or not. Okay, we got the fuel tank off the tractor. You can see some of the weird hardware that I was dealing with here, and both of the bolts that hold the gas tank straps onto the fan shroud snapped, so I'll have to replace those. I actually like this fuel tank. It's only got one tiny dent in the bottom. It's completely savable. It'll actually be a great tank if I do another restoration. But you can see some of the flakes that I shook out of it. It's just all that garbage there. It's just not going to work. I don't want to put gas in this and try to start this machine. I'm going to plug everything up. So I've got this new old stock tank that I got at an auction last year for $5. It's perfectly clean inside. Like I said, I don't think it's ever been on a machine. The paint's a little peely on it because of how old it is, but as weird as this bright orange tank is going to look on this tractor, this is the one I'm going to use just to see if this machine's going to run. So let's go ahead and get that installed. Now that we've got the gas tank installed, we'll take this oily, greasy carburetor off of here. And this is going to take quite a bit of cleanup. I'll go downstairs in my shop and pull this apart and see what the inside looks like. And I am hoping that the inside is in really good shape. Again, I think the previous owner sprayed this thing with oil just to keep it, because it's a cast iron carburetor, just to keep it from rusting out. So hopefully the inside is in really nice shape, and all this is going to take is just a quick cleaning. So let's go do that. Okay, we're downstairs in the basement shop. Got the carburetor in a little tub, and you can see it's a little gross looking. I want to clean the outside of it before I even touch the inside. And if I had a parts washer tank, I'd be using it right now. Unfortunately, I don't. What I do have is some naphtha and some brushes and this little Rubbermaid tub. So let's go ahead and get this thing cleaned up. Okay, the outside of the carburetor's mostly cleaned up. A lot of rust on the outside of this thing, which I guess doesn't surprise me. A little rust on the inside of the air intake, so that's got me a little concerned about what the inside's going to look like. But let's go ahead and tear into it. And like I said, I have not been into this carburetor, so literally you are going to see, you'll see it as I see it. I am just hoping that this thing is usable, because if it's not, I mean, I could put a different carburetor on there, but now we're getting a little bit past the whole spirit of, will something run? Now, if you have to replace some major parts on it, then the answer to will it run is no. All right, let's see if this comes apart. Of course, it's not just going to pop apart. That would be too easy. Oh, not only was it full of oil on the outside, it was full of oil on the inside, and I did not even know that. Yeah, see, this is why I check these things before I try to start a machine, because I could have put all the gasoline I wanted into this, and this would have never run, because the carburetor was literally full of motor oil. Oh, what a mess. That I did not see coming. So it looks like the previous owner not only oiled the outside of the carb, but he oiled the inside of the carb. I don't know. Has anybody ever seen anybody do that before? If you have, drop me a comment and let me know. I've never heard of anybody filling the inside of a carburetor with oil. Oh, let's see what this looks like. There's a little bit of rust in there. I don't know if you can see. We got a little bit of rust inside the carburetor. It's not as bad as it could be, but I'm definitely going to have to address it. Obviously, that gasket's no good. You pull the float and the needle out. I'm impressed. These never come out that easy. Let's see. There's our needle. Oh my gosh, look at all this. There's just oil and all sorts of gunk in there that's got to be cleaned out. Like I said, I could have hooked up the gas tank and pulled on this until I was old and dead, and it still would have never started. So I'm going to clean this gasket off. I'm going to take this outside, shoot it with a whole bunch of brake clean to get the oil and stuff cleaned out. Take some carb cleaner, shoot out the passages, and we'll be right back. Okay, one thing I wanted to mention about these carburetors is this upper passage here where the fuel comes in, and then sometimes they've got a plug in this side, and sometimes they've got, two plugs, sometimes only one. When you clean one of these carburetors, take these fittings off, take the plug out, and see what's in this passageway. Seems like every single one of these carburetors I've ever worked on has just been full of garbage inside. And I mean, you can clean out your gas tank, you can run new fuel lines, everything can look really good. But if this is all full of trash, you're just going to end up sucking all that garbage right into your carburetor and plugging everything up all over again. So I know you can't see into here, so let's just use a Q-tip. And yeah, that's what this looks like. And even the inside of the plug has got all this garbage on it. So always make sure you open up this passage and clean it out really well. I'm all done with the brake cleaner and the carb cleaner. Cleaned out all the jets with a torch tip cleaner kit and shot carb cleaner through all the passages. Everything looks like it's flowing real nice. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't run. So let's go ahead and reassemble the carburetor. We're back out in the garage. You've probably noticed that I've got my reel mower hooked up to the tractor now. Reason being, if I'm going to try to start this thing and check it out, make sure it works okay, I want an implement on the front. That way I don't accidentally drop the back end of the tractor into the ground when it's running and just beat the heck out of everything. So I've already put on a new throttle, the little rod that goes from the thumb control down to the carburetor. I had it left over from a project. I put that on there because the one that was on this machine, well, didn't exist. And I put new choke cable on, well, new to this tractor, just so we can operate the choke. So now I just have to install the carburetor, run the fuel line, put some fuel in it, and I think that's all we need to do. So let's get back to work. Carburetor's on, throttle and choke controls are in place. I loosened up the clutches so those will work. Let's put some gas in here and hopefully it doesn't leak out the carburetor. I've got the fuel shutoff closed. I'm not going to put a whole lot of gas in, just enough that I can try to get this thing to start. That's more than enough. Well, let's open the fuel shutoff and hope for the best. Yeah, I don't see anything leaking out. That's a good sign. Let's take this thing outside and try to get it started. Well, as you may have guessed, the tractor simply didn't want to cooperate today. I even grabbed the carb cleaner to see if I could get it to fire off that way, and I did get it to pop for about a half a second or so, and then the occasional pop and putt here and there, but it just didn't want to take off. Not sure exactly what the problem is. I know the compression isn't very good on this machine. Sometimes it was really easy to turn that pulley over. Definitely needs some top end work, but it should have fired just fine on the carb cleaner. So you can see I gave it several attempts, and then I kind of threw in the towel and shut off the camera, and I decided I was going to go out and give it one more shot with the camera not on, and here's what happened. Well, heck. Sometimes you just have to laugh at these things. I must have tried a dozen or so times to get that engine to fire up, and it just would not go. And honestly, I think after about the second or third pull, I knew there was going to be a problem, but I was just being stubborn. But it wasn't until I shut the camera off and decided, just for grins, I was going to give it one last shot, and then the engine decides it wants to cooperate. And honestly, it looked like it ran pretty well other than burning a little bit of oil, and I anticipated that. I didn't get a chance to put it through its paces, though, because the engine shut off. And as you can see, despite my best efforts, it did not restart. So when it died, you probably noticed it didn't pop, it didn't spit, it didn't sputter, it didn't act like it ran out of fuel. There was no banging or anything like something let loose in the engine. I mean, it still has plenty of compression when I'm trying to start it here. It it shut off like I reached down and shorted the magneto to kill the engine. So I think I need to take another look at that magneto, take another look at the spark situation, and see if there's a problem there. So it looks like episode 3 is not going to be the final episode in this series, but thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you on episode 4.